Hey everybody, it is Chainsaw Reacts. I have a special guest with me here today to talk about a variety of things. You've seen him on Supernatural. Hillywood's Show YouTube channel with a variety of parodies and all that, including Umbrella Academy, which was really funny to watch. And Ryan Choi, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Osric Chau, thank you for being here, man. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, sorry in advance if it cuts out. I think my internet is like on the fritz right now, but we'll do our best.
It's all good. First of all, I love the fact that you're so passionate about this character, because I could tell immediately that this was like a full circle thing for you, because you told a story where you were told years ago by your roommate, yeah, you're going to play Ryan Choi. And you're like, oh. And then they're tweeting the creator of the character saying, this is Ryan Choi. And then you try to, like, you pitched a show. Like, where did you go with that? Did you actually take it to networks or?
Well, so that was when I first started on the CW, and I knew, like, the Arrowverse was kind of a starting. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, you read the comics, the world of Ivy University they're so vast, it could easily be a show. So we put together this pitch deck of like, this is the first season arc, whatever. We brought it to the CW. I actually pitched it to Ben Edlund because he directed my first episode on Supernatural. He created The Tick. And when we brought it to CW, they're like, oh, we're already developing something with the Atom, so we can't even look at it, legally speaking. So that's where it stopped, but, sure enough, 6 years later, it just kind of comes back around. But my favorite thing about Ryan is that Brian gets to be a fanboy of all these things. So, like, when he first meets Ray Palmer, that, in the comics, he's a huge fan, and I've been a fan of Brandon Routh for a while, so it was really cool. It was really easy.
What I like, too, is they took your character in the direction of, you're just a guy with a family. You're not a superhero. You're just... You're just basically just relaxing, enjoying life. All of a sudden, they show up and go, hey, you're a paragon. We need you for the multiverse saving. And you're like, how did you try to process that? Because you had to approach it that way. Because when I think Ryan Choi, I think, okay, he's already going to be in the Atom suit, or he's working on something like that. And they completely went, he's not there yet, but he's really important to the story.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually easier because you get to go in from your own perspective. Like, okay, if I get thrown into this world, like, well, how do you react? So I think Ryan presents a very human. I mean, he is the paragon of humanity, but he presents like a very real human response to this whole thing. In that, not everyone is super, and he gets to show, that side of it, because everyone is so super powered. But if you have nothing to there's a couple of beats that we actually, they had so much they wanted to cram in, so we actually had to cut out a couple of little moments that I thought would have been really nice. But I loved being able to just be the human aspect of this superhero group.
Yeah, because what I like too is when the multiverse was recreated, the first thing we see of you is holding your child, and that showed that is the most important thing to you, but you had to make a decision earlier by leaving your family to try to save everything. When you were reading the scripts, were you like surprised with the big reveal that you in the Arrow bunker is like, how about we try to just constantly shrink the anti-monitor? Because you're the one who, I thought maybe Ray would say it, but you're like, hey, how about we just throw something at him and he constantly shrinks forever? Like, that was crazy to see. Like, okay, that makes sense. Ryan would probably come up with something like that.
Yeah, it's totally in character, and Ryan got to bounce ideas off of each other. That's just like one of those moments that you would dream of. Right? It's like, oh my god, this is my hero, and I get to work with him, and not only that, like, I can contribute in a meaningful way. Like, that's huge for Ryan. So I'm really happy for that got to happen. I think it makes total sense, and one really nice thing is, like, reading the script. My baby's name is Simone, after writer and creator. Gail.
Nice little nod. Because she put you in a comic book, I think you told.
She did.
Yes.
She put me in Red Sonja. So, I was telling her, like, throughout the entire process, like, hey, I put this thing together. She's like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. Like, you absolutely have my support. And then I told her, I'm like, oh, it didn't work out. And she's like, well, actually, I have I have this thing, this little thing that I'm doing, Red Sonja. He's like, and I was wondering if I could use. So she put a character in Red Sonja called Osric the Magnificent, and he's the greatest swordsman of all the lands, and he doesn't die.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, he's gonna be great, and then Red Sonja's gonna kill him. Nope, didn't happen.
Oh, that's good. I mean, because you could come back, any point in the comics. You never know.
I just love that. Yeah, he's in the universe. And Red Sonja is a great comic, so it's really, really excited about that.
I was curious because, everyone wants to know, because I even saw you tweet out a Screen Rant article about speculation if you could return. When you were, of course, casted and everything, was there talk of they were going to be expanding and you were going to come back, or it was like, well, we'll do Crisis, you have a big part, you're a Paragon, it's a big thing, but who knows? Because with what they did, Earth Prime, everything is one essentially with all these shows, so there's endless possibility of where you could pop up next if you were to.
Yeah, and I don't know how much they have thought about that. Honestly, they certainly haven't told me. But because there's so many possibilities, I feel like if it makes sense, they're going to do it. When I first got on, I'm like, okay, as long as I don't completely drop the ball on this character, it's going to have, something might happen. So I feel like went over okay. I think Ryan was fairly well received, and I feel like if there's an opportunity, they're definitely going to open that up. Certainly the fan response is a big thing. We're in an age of internet, and so if you like it, tweet out all the creators and the writers. Remind them for me, please.
Tweet them out and go, please get right. The fact that you were not just another character or part of the fight, you were actually like you said, Paragon of Humanity. You survived everything, sent to the Vanishing Point, and they gave you a beard to start off part 4. I'm thinking, okay, because no one else looked different except for Barry, because Grant Gustin's standing there, he looks like he's tired, exhausted, and you're the only one who looks different with a beard. And even Lex, nothing different about him. They just made
That's
you.
Right. I want your beard. Look at that thing.
Yes.
That's a good-looking beard.
Yeah, I get told it's a majestic beard, so I'm like, hey, I'll take it.
See, I wanted a majestic beard, but that was the best I could do. The purpose of the beard is to show the passing of time, right? Everyone else is a superhero, I guess. Nothing grows for them.
But Kate Kane
doesn't.
Kate Kane's a human, so she should have grown a little hair. Yeah.
In theory, but maybe not in the Vanishing Point. So Ryan's still human. He's so human that his beard grows. So it was at least 6 months, maybe a year. My hair didn't grow, which suggests to me, if I were to speculate, that my brain is actually super enough to allow my hair not to grow.
That is a good point. Your brain is super enough for your hair to not...
That's Ryan's power. He's really smart, and he has all this technology that he uses.
That is fantastic. I love that answer. My brain is so great. It's so super. It's working all the time. It doesn't need to grow. It's fine.
Either that, or the stress was so great that my hair fell out at the exact same rate that it grew.
That actually is pretty smart. The same rate it falls, it just keeps growing. It's just what I like too is when Oliver shows up as Spectre in the Vanishing Point, you refer to his outfit as Sith, very Sith, and I thought that was a nice line. In terms of lines, was there any riffing, any where, or is it just the lines exactly, or you're allowed to improvise a little bit? Is there any of that, or it's just no, you got to do the lines and move on?
I think everyone's fairly open with lines. You always have to massage certain beats, but the writers did such a good job. I feel like there's so much pressure on everyone for the crossovers that, everyone brought their A game. So there wasn't too much working around that we could do. Plus, even if you did, the timing was so tight that we really couldn't play around too much because, if it doesn't work, then the whole thing gets cut out. So we kind of, the parameters that we're working within are a lot smaller than maybe a normal episode on any of the shows.
Oh yeah, because the shooting schedule for a normal show is pretty hectic, like 8-9 days for one episode. But like crossover, they're shooting multiple scenes per day on different shows, and you have to actors have to jump from one show to another in a matter of hours, and you can't, spend too much time working on something.
Yeah. I mean, there are some days that they're doing like some actors were doing 5 episodes on the same day, right? But even in the edit, because there's so much story that they're trying to cram into such a short time, right? They're like cutting so fast, like, okay, this beat, this character, this scene, next scene, it's so fast. So we really can't take our time with anything.
Well, I mean, I think you guys nailed it. I really enjoyed your character arc for sure, going from just a guy chilling, oh my God, it's Ray Palmer, and now you're a Paragon. And now you're like, hey, let's just throw this thing at him that will constantly shrink the ANSI monitor. And we didn't see you after that victory. Was there something cut, or was it just something that,
Well, I don't know how much I should be able to talk about this, but originally in an earlier draft of the script, there was a chair with a certain symbol on it. Oh. And then I think they realized that that's not a really nice shaped table, so they had to cut one down.
Interesting. Exclusive.
But I got so excited. That's as much as I'm going to tell. I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but that's all I got.
Well, it'll be okay. We'll be okay. I think people were really excited to hear that. I don't think it...
Man, I was flipping out. I read that on the flight and I couldn't... And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's gone now. Okay. All right. Still okay. I
mean, it was a nice scene because they basically created, without calling it, the Justice League or the Super Friends. Like, they just didn't give it a name, but we know what they're doing. I like that.
I mean, as long as they bring a monkey in, I'm totally happy with it.
Honestly, with everything that's happening, I actually didn't understand the reference of the monkey. And like, oh, the Wonder Twins. It just didn't click, and all my subscribers are hitting me like, are you kidding me? You didn't recognize that? Like, guys, like, they just threw so much stuff at us. How are we supposed to process every little thing? I gotta ask, because
there's so many references there. Yeah,
there was one thing no one knew except for Grant Gustin and a couple of people: Ezra Miller's cameo. I heard so many people were like, I can't believe that didn't leak, and like, actors are part of Crisis. I mean, how did you feel seeing it?
I mean, literally everything else got leaked. I'm surprised that didn't get leaked as well. They showed us an early screening of it. And he's like, guys, here's a surprise. I just love that they were able to do that. Like, thinking of all there's politics involved. There's, like, a lot of, like, licensing and rights and all that. Like, it must have taken many miracles for that to have happened. So the fact that they did it, I'm so blown away, and I'm really glad that they put in the effort to do that. So kudos to Mark and everyone. That was incredible.
It really was. It broke the internet. There was cameos that like surprised everybody. Like, oh my gosh, they got Birds of Prey. They got that show in the mix. They got Burt Ward. Like, that was crazy as well. And then it's like Ezra Miller. No one knew. Like, it was just it broke Twitter. Twitter exploded, like, nonstop talking about it. And even the Twitter accounts associated with DC and stuff, they couldn't hold back the spoiler after it hit. Like, they just started posting stuff. I'm thinking, okay, guys, I guess spoilers is not a big deal now.
I mean, how can you not? Like, that... I mean, the one thing I give... Like, I've been a big Marvel fan for a long time, but I think this is one thing that Marvel would never have done. Like, Marvel wouldn't have made that same decision, so you got to give it to DC for doing that.
Props. I heard that Hulk is your favorite character in Marvel.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask, how do you feel about his interpretation in Endgame, being Smart Hulk? Did you like the direction they took, or did you expect just to go traditional route of Hulk?
Yeah, but my favorite iteration, I mean, I love Mark Ruffalo, but Amadeus Cho is the new Hulk.
Yes. Okay.
Amadeus Cho. Korean American, who's excited to be the Hulk. Yeah.
I gotcha. I mean, I personally felt the Smart Hulk, maybe we could have stayed traditional for Endgame, especially with the magnitude of what we're trying to deal with here. But, okay, it's, they're trying
I'm such a Hulk fanatic. I loved all the movies.
Mm-hmm. Even Ang Lee's?
All of them.
I honestly, when I was little, I saw the Ang Lee Hulk film, and I'm like, he's fighting Hulk dogs. This is pretty cool. Like, I was just... I mean,
that was the first, like, superhero movie. I was so blown away.
I mean, the visuals. I mean, him throwing that tank or whatever, wow. And jumping just... visual effects.
Plus, like, I feel like Hulk stole the show on so many of the Avenger films. Like that moment with Loki.
Oh yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. Everybody goes back to that as being one of the best moments that they've done. I was looking into this too. I found out that you did martial arts for a long time when you were younger. I was in Taekwondo. I lasted a blue belt. I dropped out. What kept you going in term? Because I mean, at a point, I mean, you were learning different styles as well, from what I understand. And was it something to where you just felt like you had to keep pushing yourself, or was it to where you felt like you had there was nothing really else going on?
No, I wanted to be the best in the world. Okay. I mean, simple as that. I hated everything else, and I'm like, I'm good at this. I want to get really good at this, and so at one point I went to China. It was supposed to be a 2-week trip, and it ended up being like a 6-month trip. Because I'm like, this isn't enough. Like, I get to train with the best in the world right now. Why would I leave so fast, right? And so I just like stayed, and I loved it. And then thinking like, okay, injuries are probably going to catch up to me at some point. But I really lucked out, because at the time when I was starting to like rethink it, like I went to see a physiotherapist because my knee was kind of bothering me, and he didn't even ask me questions. He just looked at my knee and he started laughing. He's like, I don't even know what you're doing, and I don't need to know. If you want a future with your knees, you're going to stop. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's a sign that I should take it easy a bit. And my agent at the same time found out that I could do martial arts to the degree that I could.
Yeah. And
within like 3 months, I got a lead role doing my own stunts, and I was this specific person that they needed. I was the only person that fit all the criteria they were looking for, so it just kind of worked out.
So, like, was that something you were always looking to do as for like acting? Because I know that it says on your Wikipedia, as we know, Wikipedia can always be fibbing, lying. It said you originally wanted to be a stuntman, but then you ended up being an actor. Was it something?
Yeah. Well, I grew up, watching Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, Jackie Chan movies. Like, I grew up on that stuff, and so like those were my idols, and I wanted to be part of like the Jackie Chan stunt team. Like, I wanted to do all of that stuff. I didn't know how to. And in Vancouver, when I was really going for it, I was still in high school. So I looked really young, and they weren't really shooting that many things that they required younger looking Asian kids. They mostly needed like Asian gangsters or businessmen. So I started working. I got jobs at Electronic Arts. So they did a bunch of motion capture games, and my martial arts coach, he was a coordinator on some of them, so he'd bring me in, and I got to do some of that. And then acting kind of took off, and I never really looked back.
It's pretty crazy how motion, like that motion capture works for video games and movies well to capture people's movements for a CG creature or whatever it is. I saw that you're on G.I. Joe, a video game, I think 2009, as a motion capture. What exactly did you do for that game as motion capture? Was it just like the character models, or what was it specifically?
So it was, which I can't remember, that was so long ago, but it was a lot of sword play and some of the action stuff. I mean, the principles are all the same. They just need a solid reference for movement, so that they can, just take the data points and just make the movements of whatever character they're animating look as smooth as possible and as lifelike as possible. Because even if you have a full understanding of everything, to know it in 3D and see how all of these joints and stuff move around, it's just easier to have someone do it, capture their movements, and like tweak it from there. So I did a lot of the sword play, just hits and falls, and just grunt work for stunt stuff.
I mean, hey, it's work, At the end of the day, it's work. Speaking of stunts, so do you still do your stunts whenever you get casted in a role, or is it like, because I think there's like always like a certain limitation that actors can do before it's a liability issue. So do you still do your stuff to a certain extent?
I haven't played a character that has needed me to do anything, so unfortunately, I can't even properly answer that question. Liability is an issue. Insurance is an issue. I would love to do as much as I can, but not to the detriment of the production. But I think at the end of the day, as long as I can sell the moves that my stunt person will end up doing, that's fine. Right? And if there's something that I can do, I will do it. I can do it safely, of course. And then, it always looks better. They don't have to cut around it.
Yeah, there was one point where you and Melissa Benoist, Supergirl, were flying out of the portal that flashed through you in when you traveled back.
Yeah, that was my stunt double.
Okay.
He did great.
Okay, I was about
His
to
name
say,
is
like,
Steve. He
yeah.
was. Oh, I mean, I would have. There's no point. I'm like, love to do that, but certain things, especially on the Crisis, like it was actually an amazing thing. Like almost everyone had a photo double and a stunt double, so that they could be on multiple sets at the same time.
Oh.
Like it was nuts what they were doing. They had an acting double, so everyone had like 2 to 3 doubles.
Yeah, there's a video that came out recently that Grant Gustin was wearing a mask of Cress Williams' Black Lightning on his face. And it looked like it was a realistic mask, and it was really freaky because Cress Williams is sitting over there laughing while, like, it was so weird to see that because, like, that looks so realistic, and apparently it's for stunts and for people to kind of help.
So that's, I mean, that was great. So that's something that Black Lightning does. All their stunt doubles have, like, this mask of the actor that they're doing. And from afar, it looks great.
Yes.
They had so many things. Like his mask, like they glue magnets on his skin, and he just like clicks it on, so it's like so easy for him.
I saw a picture you posted with him. You saw them. You saw those things. I'm like, what is that? Now that you said that, that makes perfect sense. It's because apparently he was doing an interview saying like, yeah, I had this, and everyone's like, really? Like we don't have that. So apparently,
yeah, I mean because they're in Atlanta, so this was the first time where like everyone got to talk and like, oh my god, we should totally do that. I'm like, why don't you guys communicate? Guys, same network, universe.
I want to switch to something real quick because I found these by doing some research. The Hillywood parody, I love the Walking Dead one, and seeing you as Glenn, that was fantastic. Another one, Bites the Dust. I was not expecting that, and I was laughing the whole time. And the Umbrella Academy, which really took me by surprise because the sets look so real. And I'm like, it's crazy. Like, and you got in contact with them because they approached you, or you met them at a convention.
No, we met in Spain at the beginning of a convention, and we just ended up talking. And I saw their work, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, hey, when are you gonna do the Supernatural one? Yeah. I'm like, oh, we're thinking about it. And then they called me and it's like, hey, we're doing a Walking Dead one. You want to play Glenn? I'm like, yes. Okay. So we did that, and then I kept pushing them. Eventually they did not only one Supernatural one, but a second one. And, you know, like, I think they're incredible. They're amazing at what they do. And I can't wait to see all the other things that they're doing. I mean, I feel like it's just a matter of time before some network or some production company will just like, hey, we should work with them because this makes no sense why they don't have a studio deal or something, because they're so good.
Yeah, because a lot of the comments, the top comments on those videos are like, these are just like fans really just have high production quality stuff, and they're basically making these parodies are so well done because there's so many parodies online, but they really take it to the next level, and it's all around. This looks like a fun time because then you're able to kind of step out of a traditional acting job and just kind of just have fun and just kind of do something different. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes the stuff they make is actually better than the original, which, I mean, it's a testament to them. But, you know, like sometimes on the set, you're just throwing things together and it's not quite perfect, but you work with it. And for them, they're just like, okay, that's, you know, they're so detailed. So sometimes like, this is like just a really well-made whatever it is. It's just, the amount of time that they spent on every little thing in the background, even that mostly goes unnoticed. Like, it's all there.
I can tell the dedication. Speaking of roles, because I was curious about this, because I'm always wondering how actors approach it. Whenever you're going out for auditions for whether it's a movie or a TV show, whatever it is, what's something you look for specifically about the show? Or, you know, is it a script? Is it like a genre? Is it the subject matter? Or is it something a little bit more deeper than that for you?
I think the first motivation is always like, okay, well, I've been unemployed for a while, so I should probably get a job. I think that's the first motivation for most actors. If you're busier than that, then you're like, okay, well, is it a good story? Is it a good character? Do I get to play a good character? Do I like the motivations? Do I like what they get to do? Is it something that I've done before, like 100 times? Or is it something that's new, that challenges me, that pushes me in a different direction? But I think for everyone, regardless of genre or anything. It's does the story resonate with us? Do we like our involvement in it? And yeah, do we see ourselves fitting into that world properly?
Yeah, because I was wondering about
that. You can't
that.
Imagine.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was wondering because, like, if you've done a type of character like that before, you're looking for a personality in a character that you haven't attempted, or maybe something you want to try to push yourself, and then you said it. So that's good, because there's some actors, they kind of pick a role that they've kind of already done, or something that they're kind of familiar with, and they get kind of comfortable. And maybe you don't want to be comfortable all the time, because then people go, oh, well, of course, because you've already done that. So you're doing something similar.
I mean, everyone kind of has an essence about them, and, you know, casting kind of ends up casting you along those lines unless you're very much established as a character actor. For me, I do a lot of, I try to create my own stuff, and that's where I have my creativity stretched a little bit, and I can kind of push myself in different directions, and I can play characters that I don't normally get to do. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, I'm at a point where I get more excited for that. It's like, as cool as it is, like, all these amazing shows and people to work with, to some degree, like, I really appreciate just having that, I don't know, the creative freedom to just be your own boss and do your own thing. I really enjoy that.
Is there anything upcoming that you're looking forward to doing, or you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, so I've been writing a script for a couple of months now. This will very likely be my directorial debut, whether this year or next year or 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I'm really excited for. I'm not really a writer, but I'm learning. And so it's just making a buttload of mistakes and trying to get the next draft better than the last constantly.
Have you been shadowing anybody directing-wise recently to kind of get more comfortable with it?
No, but it occurred to me that I should start asking, so I think I'm going to check. I don't know someone.
Gotcha. I mean,
yeah, I'll reach out.
Yeah, because me and my friends, we do like these little fan projects, and one of my best friends, I mean, he really is my best friend, he directs, and I can't imagine the thinking of trying to get shots ready, because, like, I think, oh, I can try that. There's no way. I just don't have the mindset for it, but you're pushing yourself. That's good, you know, because some people, they get to a point and they're happy with where they're at, but then you always have to go, well, what's the next step? Because I noticed where when you posted about it on your Instagram when you got Ryan Choi, that it's not necessarily it's guess the next step, but it really is something bigger for you, because it's a full circle thing. You years ago were told, and now you played the character. You're probably going to come back based off what you said about a seat, which is pretty exciting. I have one final question before we end here. My fiance, who's back here behind me in the bedroom, she got so excited. She loves Supernatural, and when she heard, so she wanted to know, and you probably get this a million times, but how was it working on the set with Jared and Jensen? Because, I mean, those guys, they're working nonstop for all these years, and the show's coming to an end, of course. How was it to kind of get into that camaraderie, essentially? Because there's, like, so much going on, and now you're thrown into this massive show all of a sudden.
I mean, day one, it's a little intimidating. I mean, you kind of hop into a group of friends who've been hanging out, like, constantly for like 7 years, so it's hard to be the new guy in that group, but everyone was so warm and welcoming. And once you kind of get into the groove of it, like, once they've accepted that I was kind of gonna be around for a little bit, it was awesome. Like, every time I got back to that set, it felt like home. You know, it was second home. It was another reason for me to go back to Vancouver, where my family's at. So that was always nice. They certainly get easily, so they try to keep the fun at very high levels, and they're constantly pranking each other, they're constantly cracking jokes, and because everyone knows each other so well, like, it's not just Jared and Jensen, it's every single person on that crew, and so many of them have been there since day one. You know, 15 years is a long time to hang out with the same group of people, and they're very comfortable. So the stuff that goes on, like the stuff that doesn't make the gag reel, is it's fun. It's crazy, it's fun, but they've kind of earned it. So
that's the crazy part, because, like, 15 years, like, if they weren't really best friends or they really didn't enjoy working with each other, they wouldn't have lasted that long. Like, it wouldn't have, because it really is them. And I'm just surprised. I mean, because CW, I mean, they like keeping their shows on the air, but 15 years, that's really pushing it. But, you know.
Before, but they had that discussion because, you know, it wasn't amazing that first season. They weren't sure if it was gonna like go or not, and you know, Jared and Jensen, they had to talk about, like, hey, like, if this is gonna be a thing, like, we have to make it work. So, like, you know, kudos to them. They really thought it through, and they're like, okay, we have to not only get along, but like, we have to take care of people. So, you know, they really made it feel like a family from the get-go.
And it is sad to see this show go, because I mean, now did you play the character recently for the final season? I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, I did an episode. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, she's not caught up yet, but I bet she'll be happy to see you again, for sure.
Well, let's see. I mean, Jared's going on to Texas Walker Rangers, so
yes, he is. Yes,
I'm sure the show will go on in that,
and maybe you'll pop up in there. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and talking with me a little bit about everything. And sorry for the technical issues, everybody. You know, it is what it is. It's the internet. It's live.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan.
And check out Osric Chau on. You do have a Facebook? Do you have a Facebook, or is it just Instagram and Twitter?
I have Facebook. It's Kevin Tren AP, I think.
Okay. and then Instagram and Twitter as well. And
yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, thanks for having me, Jordan. Take care.